Um, well, as you know, I do this speech every year. I inducted 4 more members into the Hall of Fame this year, and this was in Las Vegas. And I have to tell you that this year was an interesting year for the Hall of Fame. We started off about halfway through the year. Our founding sponsor had pulled out about mid-year. And so I need to take a moment and thank Andy Linares from Bug Off Pest Control Center and Michael Weisberger for stepping up to the plate and providing us with the support that we needed to actually carry off the event this year. I can't say enough how grateful I am to both of those folks, neither of whom are here, but I wanted to acknowledge their contributions because it was a touch and go moment there for the Hall of Fame this year, and I'm really pleased to say they stepped up and allowed us to pull off the event this year. The other person that I would be remiss if I didn't thank is a PMP, also not here, by the name of Kurt Trombetti, who owns Safe Pest Control in Las Vegas. I don't know how many of you have tried to book an event in Las Vegas, but where we were staying for MPMA this year at the Palazzo was outrageous. And Kurt, being on the ground and being the president of the Nevada Pest Control Association, and his wife Heidi were kind enough to volunteer their time to help us find a venue that would fit more into the budgets of Andy and Michael, and they were able to do that, and it really turned out to be a very, very nice event. So I wanted to get those thank yous said as well. And without further ado, we had, as you can see, we had the 4 inductees this year. We had our second international inductee, the first non-posthumous one, I guess would be the way to describe that. Motokazu Hirao from Japan was the first inductee, and so now I present to you Motokazu Hirao. Before he and his company funded the original 20 companies in the Japanese professional pest management industry, there were none. And there's little doubt that the country needed them. But that was just the beginning for this international pest management icon.
My name is Motokazu Hirao, and working as a Japanese Pest Control Association as a volunteer. And my main business is the Hirao Biological Institute and the industrial consultant.
After getting a degree in agricultural chemistry from Kyoto University, he developed a rodent repellent to prevent pests from gnawing through electrical wires in Japanese homes. By the time he was done, the man affectionately known to his friends as Moto had pest management in his blood.
After the graduate university, I'm studying at a Panasonic company for the making the chemicals for the mainly the agricultural chemical and the plastic raw materials. In my research in that 30 to 40 years ago, the Japanese environment is so many housing structure building is infested by the rodents. So the many cases electric wire are damaged by the rodents. So the electric Matsushita companies asked me to research to some of the repellent materials, chemicals. So my research is starting for the making the rodent repellent. We first time we hope to the painting for the rodent material and mixing the plastic materials, but such chemicals is not so effective for long time. It's effective only the 2 years.
Okay.
So that we change the business style for them. We think about making the pest control company, but in that time we have no models. Nobody knows the American pest control industry is so furnished and so nice that we don't know them quite. So our own idea, our own, but not so the experience. We started teaching for such company. Most of companies, Panasonic companies relation, construction company, was printing company. We teach such companies for teaching for the pest control business for about 10 years.
Okay.
I'm teaching. So that a good relation for the pest control business.
In 1973, Hirao joined a pest management company called Teiseo Kasai and worked in all aspects of the business: operations, sales, management, technical development, and training. As the Japanese economy grew, the need for professional pest management continued to grow as well. Hirao realized that his skills as a lecturer and educator could be used throughout the country and the rest of the world. He routinely traveled to conferences around the world, helping other companies reach the high standards set by the US industry, one he has followed religiously since attending his first NPCA conference in 1978.
When I starting for the pest control business, main reason is in that time I'm starting another project of the company for the making the outside siding. That the business is not so good for me. I'm born in a biologist, so it's plastic materials. The outsiding building is not so good as for the. I like more the biology. Mm-hmm. So starting for the join to the pest control company. More, I like the pest control company. Okay. So that joined to the 1973 the pest control company. Before that they make such a regulation, the government people, we start to the IPM. So government people is know the IPM, structure IPM, but actually the what we should do. So the government gives our team to the grants. So that we study for the 2001, 2002, 2003, study so many from the American industry. For the NPMA and the Bob Kunst company and the USDA and the San Francisco IPM style, and so many studies for to make the report for the government and proposal to the government. Government is after 2 years, government change the regulation, so the start to the just 2008 January 25 have to over the 3,000 square meter building have to do the IPM style pest management.
He so admires the US industry that Hirao became an international director of the then NPMA in 1987, and that same year became heavily involved in the founding of the Federation of Asian and Oceania Pest Managers Association. He has served as the technical director and public relations manager, among other duties, for the Japan Pest Control Association and FOUT PMA.
Now the Japanese pest control industry is enter the second generation. The second generation people is most of the case they graduate university and study the biology and study economics. Some is get a master degree in American. So the business style is changing for the American style.
Last year, the Emperor of Japan awarded him the highest civilian honor a Japanese citizen can receive, the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Rays, for his contributions to the field of public health.
The Order of Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Rays, imperial house from the Japanese Emperor Hirohito. All of the people is so nervous. Only the selected people is enter into the such a room, emperor room. Awarded people is gathering for about 300 people in the biggest room, waiting for the emperor is move so just in front of our groups. He talked to the congratulations a few words.
For his enormous contributions to the international pest management industry and his continued support, we are proud and privileged to induct Motokazu Hirao as part of the Hall of Fame class of 2009.